You haven't seen Zootopia 2, have you?
No, I haven't seen it.
Interesting. That movie is a bigger deal than I ever thought it was. I
What do you mean by a bigger deal? Like better quality, or like it's a
No, I mean you can look at the financial records it's just broken, which are insane. So that's its own
why?
thing. Don't know. um, but when I was in the cinema, I was there. It was a late showing, so I was like, I'll try to go to the latest possible. It's a kids movie. I don't want screaming kids in the cinema, so I went to the latest showing possible, and there was kids and adults there with like um, animal ears on, and like people were like really into the movie, so much so that characters who appear in the first movie, when they appeared in the second, they got cheers.
Awesome.
I was like, wait, like Avengers Endgame had a decade of storytelling and multiple movies to get people to clap in the audience. This has had one movie and already people are like, let's go.
How big was the gap?
Nearly a decade.
Same thing then.
No. Anyway, we're not talking about that. Hello, welcome to Plot to Go. My name's Jack.
My name's Owen.
This is episode number 49, I think. Or, oh,
It
Jesus.
might be. It probably is. I was good
Uh,
at this at once upon a time.
it's number 49. And this week we'll be briefly touching upon Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery, which I have loved seeing the jokes people have been doing on the internet where they're like, what if other franchises did this? And it's like, Temple of Doom, a Raiders caper, or like just stupid shit like that. Um, Also, we will be kind of deep diving into Stranger Things Volume 1, which will be fun.
How exciting.
How exciting. Who am I?
Spoilers.
Oh,
I know
spoiler. Oh,
we're,
yeah.
I know we do spoilers for show. Yeah, for the preface that for films normally we don't in TV shows we do go spoiler heavy. I don't know if you want to talk about the Wake Up Dead Man with a little bit of spoilers, considering you have already talked about Wake Up Dead Man briefly anyway.
I mean, I don't
Um,
mind. I,
I
it's
don't
up to
think
you
it's
because I only
necessary.
just did impressions. I don't think it's necessary either.
Um, but obviously we will be talking about Stranger Things. Spoiler
It's
heavy.
spoilers. I mean, if my hand movement spoiled it for you, good on you for predicting, I guess.
The
um, I guess we'll start then with Wake Up Dead Man. This is the third
news.
movie in the Knives Out trilogy, I guess now. It probably will go on more. I can't remember if they have confirmed that or not at this
I
point.
thought it was a two movie deal, but I don't know if that's true.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know because I saw it so early. The buzz would probably happen now. Now there's officially out about a sequel. But Ryan Johnson has no plans on slowing down with mystery stuff. He, in between all of these, has done a show called Poker Face as well, which is brilliant if anybody's not seen it. But that is continuing also with a different cast. So he's just immersing himself in murder mysteries um, continually. But this movie follows Benoit Blanc, Mr. Daniel Craig, on his third adventure, um, where he's investigating a murder that happens in a church. Would you call it a congregation? I guess it's a group of churchgoers that are very close to a priest. And a murder happens, and chaos ensues, and Benoit Blanc is on the case to try and get to the bottom of it. This has a huge, big old cast like the rest of the movies. People like Glenn Close, Josh Brolin, Mila Kunis, Jeremy? Yes, Jeremy Renner. Um,
Jeremy Bearimy.
nice. And others. But led at the helm by Mr. Josh O'Connor. He is the main character, the Anna de Armas or Janelle Monáe of this movie. And I guess the plot of the movie is that they think he has committed this murder.
Yeah. I
Um,
think we can also discuss the who the murderer is, I think, based on the trailer, right?
I don't know. I'm just keeping it light on if anybody hasn't seen anything. a
Sure.
murder happens. um,
Shocking.
I know, but Benoit Blanc is hired to basically try and find out who the real killer is.
Hmm.
So yeah, I saw this ages ago. I think in one of the BFI London Film Festival episodes, you can find my kind of first impressions on this. If anything, my impressions have not changed. I know, like, I don't know if you feel this way. Sometimes if I review something very quickly, I'm like, this is a first impressions, because if I sit with something a bit longer, my
Uh-huh.
review of it might change. That hasn't been the case with this. If anything, I just feel slightly more positive on it as times went on. But I'd be interested to hear what you thought, and also what your viewing
Uh,
experience was like, because I don't really know how they're releasing this or how wide it is.
um, I mean, first of all, Knives Out movies kind of are like that for me. Like normally I like them to begin with, and then they grow on me on second
Mm.
viewings, or thirds, because I've seen them a couple of times now. I actually uh, so I saw Wake Up Dead Man last night, which was Sunday. The evening before I rewatched Glass Onion, and then the week before that I'd watched Knives Out. So I was doing a good old run up, and I think I was surprised at how not much that I'd forgotten about Knives Out. I just like Knives Out sat differently with me. I don't even know how to explain how, but it just did.
Mm.
And so did Glass Onion, but like Glass Onion was, it felt like such an improvement from the first time I'd watched it. Um, it that one seems more like explosive, like more of a like we have the Netflix budget kind of film,
Mm. Mm.
and I
Mm.
like that it does that. And then he's not just continued doing that. He just came to this one and went, and now I'm doing a small one again,
Mm.
and he just is doing as he pleases. In terms of viewing experience, the cinema wasn't that busy. It wasn't that busy
No
on a Sunday
way,
night.
really.
Yeah, and it wasn't that busy on I think it was the Thursday that it released,
Hmm.
or a Wednesday, whatever day it was. I was going to go
Yeah,
on
it
that
was
day, and then I
Wednesday.
couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, this film deserved to have more people in the cinema than I think it
Mm.
had. But aside from that, oh, saying that, aside from that, I had a nice viewing experience. It was relatively nice. It's just like there was a whole row of people in front of me, and they were like yapping over the adverts, which I don't care about that much, but they were like really loud and obnoxious. Um, to the point that when the Netflix logo came up at the start of the film, one of them just stuck their middle finger up at the Netflix logo,
Huh.
and I was like, I guess just because they're a big corporation or whatever. It's just an interesting one to be doing it to, considering
Mm.
Netflix is the streaming service that is like the underdog in some ways, like fighting at this point against like Disney Plus and Apple TV. And I know it's still the one, but it's underdog in terms of that is all that company is. All these other companies have so much other things going for them. This is the one that's just like trailblazed from the blockbuster era. It's just an interesting one to be sticking your middle finger up at, I think.
Interesting. I still think they're. I mean, still a corporation at the end of the day, and all the things that they've said about the like cinema, I think is worrying. I think if people were fans of cinema, there even they might be doing that just because the way they've spoken about wanting.
I mean, that's fair. I don't know what they've said about cinema, so it was completely
They
no
think it's
context
irrelevant
for me, which is interesting because
because they
the
put
film that they've
yeah.
got is in the cinema.
But the only reason is because of the laws that they have to try and get an award. If something wants an award, it needs to have had a theatrical run. That's the only reason it's in cinemas. And
Ah,
yet,
okay.
you have something like K-pop Demon Hunters, which they put in cinemas because it was such a massive hit, then
Hmm.
made them stupid money that they put it back in cinemas. So it's just another greedy corporation at the end of the day.
Yeah. I guess I've been working off actions versus words because I haven't paid attention to what they've said and the fact that they've put stuff in the cinema. So that's interesting. Anyway, they did that, and I was like, are they gonna like
Mm.
just do stuff all the way through the film? Was the vibe that I got, and that wasn't the case. The person that did that was like laughing hysterically, and I was like, oh, they're having a good time. So that was nice.
Cool.
In terms of the actual film, um, I really enjoyed it. I It's funny how quaint this one feels compared to even the first one. It feels really small in size to me. And I think that even comes across in something like the score, where because I just watched Glass Onion, they have that moment at the start where the actual logo comes up and the score is playing, and it feels quite like dramatic. And you're like, we're about to go on this adventure, this big murder mystery. And then in Wake Up Dead Man, it's in the church, like just as Josh O'Connor has like entered it, I think. Um, and the logo comes up, and there's there's no score. I think you might hear a creaking door. Like it's very just what's happening in that scene. And a lot of the film is like that. Like it's the what's happening is the characters and the moments are just speaking for themselves.
Mm.
And there's none of that to try and like provoke any sort of feeling. Um, I think you probably sung Josh O'Connor's praises already for this film, but he's excellent. I think it was such a smart choice to kind of focus the film
Mm-hmm.
around him. I think what's really interesting about this franchise is Knives Out is Anna de Armas's film,
Mm-hmm.
and with Daniel Craig like woven through it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Glass Onion, and the first half is like Daniel Craig's film. And I think that had me thinking, like, why are these not called blah 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 like Benoit Blanc mysteries? And then the second half, I've forgotten the actress's name.
Janelle Monae.
Um, but she's astonishing in that film as well. She plays two
Mm-hmm.
characters. And it becomes her film. And then you have this one, and this is Josh O'Connor's film, and I think even maybe more so than Anna de Armas's because
Mm-hmm.
it actually doesn't feel like Benoit Blanc's in this film that much, which is wild, but it's just how it is, and it works perfectly fine the way that it does. Um, in terms of mystery, I enjoyed the mystery. I think this was the one that I sat and really was like, I'm going to try and lock in and figure out what happened here, and it meant that I kind of did, or at least I understood half of what was going on. Um, it's
Not to spoil
well,
it, because I don't want to do that, but I think I probably said this in my impressions. I figured out all of them when I've watched them. I don't
yeah,
think they're that difficult. I think this one, I don't know if you felt the same way. Within a few minutes, you know.
that's kind of the mindset I was in
Okay.
because, and I think it's because of how much films that we've watched, maybe where you're kind of sitting, and at least I was sitting thinking everyone's an unreliable narrator,
Uh huh.
and this specific individual I don't trust already,
Yeah.
and there's multiple things that have happened that only they're kind of like witness to.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, this could all be fiction,
Mm.
um, and so that just kind of led me down a path. Um, yeah, I like how Daniel Craig becomes more of a, I don't want to say a caricature, but it's like Benoit Blanc is just like a funny character.
I love them.
And it's I think especially in this one, they do the thing of he's like, oh, you should see it. Like it comes to the end and I have all the clues and the pieces in front of me and I do this big speech. It's great. Like it's just him riffing off of like who he is.
Mm.
Um, which is excellent. Um, I feel like in terms of the other cast, I don't know if we get to see them as much as maybe in other films. Um, just because I'm glancing over the names of the cast. You've got like Andrew Scott in there,
Mm-hmm.
who actually isn't in this that much. I think obviously their side characters oftentimes they don't get developed as much. Um, but they might even be slightly underdeveloped than some of the characters in the other films. I think the opening to Glass Onion was so successful in kind of telling you who everyone was without
Mm-hmm.
telling you who everyone was. Whereas this film starts with Josh O'Connor describing all of their backstories and who each of them are.
Mm.
Um, so it's a little different there. Um, how would I rank this compared to the other two? I think I'd put this second after Knives Out. but I'm gonna give it a rewatch because I did really like Glass Onion for some reason. Having like the third or fourth time that I watched it on Saturday, it just really, I don't know, it just really worked for me this time around for some
Mm.
reason. So I think I'll give Wake Up Dead Man another watch and see where I place it.
Interesting. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing as well, picking up what you said about the characters. They're obviously utilised a little bit less, but I still think that they're compelling. I would even say that some of them give really excellent performances. Even some of the ones that are very small, I really enjoy, and I get a lot out of, and I think that's impressive to have like very little screen time but still make an impact on the movie.
Sure.
Um, the more that I've sat with this, I flirt between this being my number one, between this and
Wow.
Knives Out. In the way that I think, the more that I think about Knives Out, there's little bits and bobs that I don't entirely love. I still love that movie. It's very very minute things. Whereas this, I think is it's interesting you say it's smaller and stuff because I also think it's grander in its mystery. I think this is the best mystery out of the three. And I know that's odd and maybe contradictory to what I've said because I'm like, oh, well, I knew what happened within the first 2 minutes. I don't want to give myself tons of credit. I knew who the person who was like pulling all of the strings was,
Yeah.
but I had no idea what was happening. So when you get to the big reveal, I was like, that's fucking smart. And in this one, it's like, it's really leaning into the genre of murder mystery and like paying respect to stuff that came before it in a way that doesn't feel like it's ripping stuff off, but it's more like building upon it, which I think is really cool. And I probably said this in the my other stuff, but to me, this is the thematically the most interesting. The other two flirt with it, like the first one being the immigrant experience in America, the second one being kind of like tech bros and that kind of stuff. But this really unpacks religion in a really fascinating way. Um, I don't know if you felt this way, but there's a scene. I think again I probably said this, but there's a scene in the
The
center of the
phone call.
movie, yeah, that I just think is honestly so good and
Masterful.
encapsulates, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so I flirt. I want to rewatch this at some point. I also think it's like Knives Out's a pretty looking film. They're all pretty. This is stunning. Like lighting. Modern movies aren't
Yeah.
lit well.
Yeah. True. Oh yeah, because um, I think I'd seen something about this recently. How things aren't lit well because we have the cameras that are capable of seeing in such dark now. Whereas
Yep.
like this film just lets you be in the dark at times, which is great. Like there's outside stuff at night, and you're like, I can't see like that specific spot, but I shouldn't be able
Mm-hmm.
to. I should be able to see someone's silhouette, not their whole freaking body. Like, uh, yeah, specifically lighting is great. The way it's shot is lovely. But yeah, I see what you're saying about being grander thematically because I mean, I'm not a religious person, but it's so interesting hearing the way that religion's spoken about
Mm-hmm.
in this, um, from two sides of it. I think it's more interesting that they focus on Josh O'Connor's experience with religion,
Mm-hmm.
because they could have easily done a fucking like Ricky Gervais view of religion and had Benoit Blanc just like dunk on Christianity or
Yep.
whatever. But
Yep.
it's interesting to have like it be Josh O'Connor's experience and what it means to him. And there's so much of that. And the film, the bit that you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like the film starts to stray away just as much as the character starts to stray away from it. And then you're pulled back into that. It's great.
Well, I find it interesting because on the surface and as it is as the movie kind of proceeds, you do think it's trying to say one thing about religion, and then I think that scene becomes kind of like a bump in the road where it's like, huh, they're not trying to make this as black and white as maybe other films would do, and there is a degree of nuance there that I really really like, and the way it wraps up, it's I don't know, as somebody who's had experience with that kind of stuff, it's interesting.
For sure.
Nice. Do you have anything else you want to say? I could go on about this for ages, but I don't want to.
I think you'd rather get into Stranger Things. But I would highly recommend this. I've not been to the cinema that much recently, to be honest. But I really like this, so I would recommend people see it.
I think this is like this should have been like on a must watch. Like if you were to say all the films that came out in November, I would have this very high up there with like go see this in a cinema specifically. And the fact that it's only like getting a few little showings in random cinemas is sad compared to some of the other stuff that's in cinemas. But
I don't think
um,
this is in Cineworld. It wasn't when I
it's not.
checked. Yeah, and so like went to an independent cinema, probably my preferred watching experience anyway. But we're all young, money's tight,
Hmm.
and so like I have the card for the unlimited for Cineworld, and probably would have just gone there. Um, but yeah, no, it's nice. It's nice sitting on like those red velvety seats watching a film that's just like steeped in some sort of like old murder mystery nostalgia that
Oh
I kind
yeah,
of shouldn't have, but I do.
in a past life, Owen.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, let's move on then to Stranger Things. My God, if I'd thought about this, I could like flipped our cameras. Ooh.
What you still could do like a spin.
I'm not even gonna bother. I don't want to
Whoa.
touch it. Um,
Yeah, fair.
Stranger Things. If you don't know what Stranger Things is, crazy. It's the first show Netflix has ever had where prior to the previous season, all of the seasons charted. So people were just absorbing this shit, which is fascinating. Um, it is 80s nostalgia sci-fi. It's been going for nearly a decade. We're going to be talking about the
Scary.
first part of season 5, which is releasing in the weirdest release strategy possible. But actually, I'm interested to talk about that and the release strategy and how that pertains to what we saw so far. Because I guess I'm a little cynical from a business point of view on how it's been released. Um,
I was cynical from a storytelling point of view.
we're probably cynical about the same thing, but approaching it from different
Mate, probably.
heads of yeah. Uh, so I'm not giving a plot summary. Strange thing. We've got spoilers for the TV show in this
Yeah, if
season.
you want a plot summary, go watch Jack's last 25 of his 30 TikToks, and you'll see him talking about Stranger Things.
I had a friend sent me their like. Do you know how on TikTok you can go to your friends tab, so you can like just quickly like through your friends stuff and whatever. Um, she went on her friends tab and she sent a screen recording. There was like I don't even know how many there were, but it was she follows and has friends with other people, but it was just me.
Excellent.
Um, yeah, I went through all the seasons, rewatched them all, recapped them all, reviewed them all, spoke about the characters, spoke about theories and questions. I've been on a tear with this shit for the last little while.
Dude, I
Um,
was obviously like I'd started before you, but then I was lagging behind because I think there was like a week where I'd watched like almost nothing. Um, and then so last week, what I spoke to you on the Monday, yeah, because we recorded this last week. I still had an episode of Stranger Things season 3 to watch, and then I
mhm.
had season 4 to watch before Thursday, so that I could watch it all on Thursday because I was going to be busy at the weekend, or at least definitely Friday. Um, and then I ended up watching Stranger Things season 4 from the Monday to the Wednesday, like
Oh
around work
wow,
and stuff. I was so fucking tired. Like I just cut everything else out of my life so that
yeah,
I could watch Stranger Things.
yeah,
Um, it surprisingly still didn't take away from my enjoyment from watching season 5 by the time I got to it. So that was nice.
nice. So you did watch it
Yeah.
on the day of release.
I did. I woke up. I watched an episode. I started work a little bit later than I normally would because it's flexi. And that meant episode 2 was the episode that was an hour long. So I watched that on my hour lunch break. And then when I finished work, I watched the last 2 episodes.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. How
I
about you?
uh I stayed up till 1. I
Shocker.
wa- I watched episode 1 and 2. Oh no, wait, did I? No, no, no. I watched episode 1. I watched half to episode 2, and I went, Jack. It's 3 in the morning, and I need to be up in like 5 hours, and not just like I need to be up. I need to be up and then working. So
Mm.
like a little bit different. So I stopped it there, and then I just worked, and then I saved it all. I made myself a nice dinner, and I sat with it. Had a great time.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I have to ask, you put an Instagram story up asking about what footage to get for your
Yes.
Stranger Things watch. What kind of replies did you get?
Just a few like random things. Some things I didn't even know. Somebody said gushers. I was like, oh, of course. I have an international audience. I don't. It's not purely just the UK.
I don't know what a
Um,
gusher is.
you never heard of gushers?
No.
They're like things that you put in your mouth, and then when you bite into them, they gush.
It's funny, that's exactly what I would have assumed that it was.
Good name for it.
I
um,
missed an opportunity to say like waffles.
I did think nobody said waffles, which really surprised me.
Yeah.
I honestly, the reason I put that story up, I was walking home at like 10:30 on the Wednesday night, and I was like, okay, I'll just nip to the shops. And I just was so indecisive. I was like, I actually don't know what I want, so I'll let somebody decide for me. Um,
I sorry.
no, but I ended up not listening to anybody, and I got myself ice cream. So,
Yeah, I mean you wouldn't have listened to mine. I just said whatever you eat, you need to eat it upside down.
what are you on about? I hung off the back of my bed and just
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Um, I guess this season, if you have yet to watch it and you're listening to this because you want it spoiled for some insane reason, picks up quite a while after the end of season 4, where Hawkins is under quarantine. They have managed to board up the um, I don't know the rift that goes into the Upside Down, and they have quarantined it basically just so that the central, I can't remember the name, they do have a name for the central portal, but there's only one entrance in and out of the Upside Down now that is being
Mm.
monitored by the military. We pick up, and I mean, for these first 4 episodes, you are kind of just learning where the characters are in the world, and then their attempts to try and finally defeat Vecna. I don't know how you
Yeah.
want to structure this. Do you want to go character by
So
character?
yeah. Um
Because then that could lead us into different storylines and stuff.
yeah. I mean, sorry, leaping off of where you were.
Yeah.
I feel like it's such a I'm not that I'm necessarily criticizing it, but such an interesting way of starting a season
Yep.
from the ending that we got
Uh huh.
was to have the rift kind of boarded up in things because it feels somewhat like anticlimactic to what the ending that we had
Mm.
in season 4. I remember sitting there being like, I didn't know. I wasn't necessarily a fan of that ending of season 4 because I'm wondering where they were going to go with that and if it was going to become some big explosive world-ending thing, and I wouldn't have liked that. So I guess this is pleasing me in some way because it would I think it would be horrendous if it became like I don't know Endgame or something. Just something huge. I think it still to me it still needs to have that core sort of Hawkins um aesthetic to it.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, it's an interesting way to start it and have us skipped so far ahead. It's a year and a half,
Yeah.
yeah, which is the longest jump that they've had.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I I agree with you. I think when you watch that ending, you're like, oh my. I think the perception is they're going to roll right into it because how could you not? Like, I think as well the ending that they give kind of builds up to, well, we have to immediately go and defeat him, or like
yeah,
there's
yeah,
there's urgency there that when this season starts, obviously you have the opening with Will, which is kind of cool, but then you immediately, I know everybody said that they jump into the action relatively quickly, and they do comparatively to other seasons, but there's a large chunk of episode 1, an episode I did enjoy, that is like, I'm sitting there like, what are we doing? Why are we
mm,
just like, and they're back at school, or like this and that, like it just felt a bit off. And I think this will become clear in our conversation. I'm not as high on this so far as fans of the like mega fans of the show seem to be. I'm nowhere near as negative as some people who just want to shit on this thing are. I am,
Yeah.
like with most things, more nuanced and somewhere in the middle. I'm leaning positive, but there are, I think, the setup that they have to give, it feels a little janky. Um, Obviously, when you get into it and there's a rhythm, I think it's better. But with things like, I know people have, we'll get to characters individually, I guess, but I know people have criticized Dustin specifically and like he's annoying and like why is he still like moping or whatever. I really like him being characterized because he's clearly had character evolution. He has lived beyond the screen. In the time that we haven't seen him, he's dealing with like the fallout of Eddie and stuff, and there's a clear like mental weight that's weighing on him, where other characters feel like they could have just picked up immediately at the end of season 4.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
Um, and it's just odd it being that long a time jump. I think to be like, well, some characters do feel like they've had that time jump, and others don't. So
In terms of you talk about like it feels like setup. It's funny because I don't think I'm as high on season 4 as other people.
oh,
I
interesting.
think it's a really weirdly organized, kind of bloated. Um, I don't want to call it a mess, but it isn't as like necessarily like cleanly structured as other seasons, I think. Um, and that felt like a lot of at the time set up to get to what would be a
Mm,
final season
uh huh.
for us to then come into this season to kind of do what you're saying, which is interesting. Um, I don't know how I don't think I was sitting there get being bothered by the setup like other people maybe have been, and I think that's because a lot of people are criticizing the kind of um what is now like the I mean, it was cliched when Stranger Things started doing it, but after seeing 5 seasons of someone walking into a room being like, "Here's the plan," and shoving a book down on the table, I think maybe they're criticizing that, but at the core of it, they're maybe talking about what you were talking about, which is they don't want to have to see setup another time, and they just don't know
Yes.
how to necessarily verbalize that. Um, because I was not, I actually was never really bothered by that stuff. I mean, it is kind of funny and it's fun to make fun of and parody, to be honest. But it works fine for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think also in those scenes, and you touched upon this, I think maybe in one of your TikToks, um, the acting varies for different
Oh
characters
my
this
god.
season.
Are you talking about season 5?
Yeah.
Sure.
So it'd be interesting to hear who you had in mind there. Specifically for me, and you might feel differently, I don't know. There's obviously the major stuff that happens with the Wheeler family.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel like you have Natalie Dyer,
Natalia Dyer, yeah.
um, Natalia Dyer, thank you, acting how you would in that situation.
Oh, if we can
And for, do
pause there. Best actress on the show, I think, by
you
a
think?
mile. Yeah.
I think maybe this season, and then Finn
Mm-hmm.
just doing maybe the same job that he's kind of done for the last couple seasons. I wasn't believing that he was in the same situation that she was in. And I just think that's crazy. Um,
Do you know, this kind of feeds into some of the criticism I've seen in general of some of the characters. I didn't find him jarring. I actually quite liked his performance because to me, and I always have to remind myself when I'm watching this, at this point in time, they're still teenagers. They're reaching the tail end of the teenagers, but they're teenagers. I think he's kind of acting a bit like a teenage boy would in that scenario where he's like, he's not able to express emotions properly in
I'm
those
not feeling it.
scenes.
I can't. I just can't believe it. Like
Mm,
I understand that with because we talked about him for specifically season 3, I think. And even though like
yes,
that was kind of shallow, I think that was more shallow in the writing, and that makes sense
because
from
they
the point of view
age
you're coming at it
with,
from. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but like the stakes are less high there, and when the
Sure.
stakes are as high as they are here, I can't sit and stomach it.
But I wonder if that's just a fault of the show as well, because I mean the ending of episode one, fantastic, and with the way that they've been building up this season, every fucking press junket they do is like, oh my god, who's gonna get killed? And they're like, hush, 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 and you, I don't know. I think the way that they have characterized specifically the Wheelers, I was expecting at least Ted to get killed because I mean he's essentially an extended bit, a bit that I find fucking hilarious every single time they
Yeah.
do it because it's so real. But he's a bit. So even if they gave him an odd moment where you actually see he is a protective father and whatever and dies because of it, you can still like garner an emotional response from people because of that. You have the stuff with Karen, which I thought was, I mean, that scene.
I love her.
Listening to Fernando and trying to kill a Demogorgon with a wine bottle, please. MVP.
I mean, there's one shot, and it's such a minute criticism where she gets in about three blows of the wine bottle, and I was like, honey, you're not getting one past one. Like I was like, why are we lingered on this shot for so long?
Oh, and I don't think you realize though, it was like a good wine, so it was a really sharp bottle.
It's doing damage, yeah.
um, but for the immediate like next episode, well, I guess the next episode, start of episode two, is this like battle kind of scene. But for that to result in, oh, don't worry, Karen and Ted are,
Yeah.
are okay and in the hospital, and the TV show seems to forget Ted. But I'm like, well, then the stakes are low, and then maybe that compensates for when, you're having scenes with not Will, sorry, Mike,
Like
and it and it feels a little like,
they're not one yet, Jack. They're
well,
not one yet.
we'll get to that. But like, do you know what I mean? Like the stakes don't feel real because they don't feel real for him. Meanwhile, like Natalia Dyer, I like her performance because that's how you would expect somebody to act. But in the world that they're in, their parents are safe.
I still think like if they're that injured, I'd be like, are they going to die in the hospital because they're just that damaged?
Yep.
Um, but I think I understand what you're saying about it being a criticism of the show because like, yeah, was I relieved when they were both okay? Yes, but was I also sitting there being like, why has nobody died yet? We're like at
Yeah.
the start of the season where we're expecting this things to matter,
And
and
not,
that
I
just
think
hasn't.
that's. I always think it's weird that the criticism people level at this show is like, oh, but nobody's being killed, so there's like no stakes. You can have stakes without killing people. I think they've done that as well a few times,
Mhm.
um, in the show. But there comes a point when not even side characters, just like other characters are getting killed, like Jason from season 4, like characters who you do come to know are getting killed, but it's like everybody in the main cast has plot armor so much as like Ted has plot armor.
Yeah,
Crazy.
they don't. Yeah, they don't want to like put a foot out of line and just you know bite the bullet and cut someone out. Just do one. Doesn't even have to be one of the main cast. Do one.
No. Well, I mean, maybe they're saving it for like a big moment that Ted gets further in the season, but
Oh yeah, he's 20. He's
whoa,
number that doesn't make any sense
it
considering the
doesn't.
numbering
But
was like going down the way. Speaking of the Wheelers, just because we're there, um, one I'm sure you'll agree that the actor for Holly Wheeler is excellent.
oh my god, yeah.
Putting that aside for a second, I do have to properly suspend my disbelief watching her like going around and doing all the things that she's doing because I think inside the show it's been like 4.5 years and she
Hmm.
was like proper toddler, like really young toddler when the show started. Um so having to just accept the fact that she's 10 now has me kind of like it's like it just almost works. So that was having me kind of be like this. I'm having to really accept that this is how the time just works in this universe right now.
Yeah,
Um, and get past that. But and obviously they've recast her as well.
they have. Yeah,
Um, bold move, but obviously they were like, we need someone who can actually perform.
Yeah,
the stuff that we're giving them, and they cast it really well. Um,
totally. A lot of it, a lot
it's
of this first arc hinges on her, and whenever we cut back to her, I was like, I'm interested. I mean, she, again, I would say probably the better actors on the show are the ones that she holds scenes with, both Sadie Sink and then Jamie Campbell Bower. And I never once thought, oh, this child performance. Um, I was enthralled in the horror scenes that she had, and then in the more like childlike wonder scenes, I think she's great, and I think it's a really inspired move, honestly, to hinge at least this first little bit on her because it harkens back to the show.
I think so too.
Um,
I like the kind of poetry of it with her getting the vanishing of Holly Wheeler and the vanishing of Will Byers. Gonna just like eat my words for a second because I was criticizing the opening 5 minutes from only having seen a couple clips of it. Um, I still think the weird deep fake CGI thing looks a bit odd, but ignoring that, the main thing I was bothered by was Will jumping from one tree to another, outrunning a demogorgon, which I'd only seen the clip of him jumping from one tree to the other. Obviously, in the actual episode, it makes far more sense. Where that is just like his downfall was doing that dipshit fucking move. Uh, so it makes far more sense.
totally.
Upon watching the episode, and it was actually kind of a nice addition to see it get tied in with Vecna and everything before we launched this season.
I liked it. Also, the Demogorgons are fucking so cool this season. They're like, we have budget now.
Yeah, properly. You notice that every season. Like I think
Yeah,
I was watching season because three, arguably, I think actually looks the best because they've got budget, but they're still holding back a bit.
and
In terms of
there's
the
an
CGI and
aesthetic to
stuff.
it. Like they know what they're going for. That summer '80s kind of.
It's not even I wasn't even like talking about that in terms of looking the best, but just because you said that, in season one they do the trick of don't think they have to do it in season two, but in season one with the Demogorgon because it was low budget. Whenever they had the CGI version of it, they do the flashing lights
Yeah.
because it was like harder to see all the flaws in it. And then for season three, they don't do the same thing. I mean, they do harken back to it with like the smaller sludge monster in the hospital,
Mm-hmm.
but that's just to make the scene look cool. They do it for the much larger one, the Mind Flayer,
The Meat Flayer.
inside Starcourt Mall with different colored lights
Yeah.
because I think that doesn't mean that you're focusing on like how should that actually be lit in this
Mm.
situation because it's just like multicolored.
Mm.
Went on a
It's
bit of a
cool.
tangent
No, it's cool.
there.
um, I don't know where I want to go now.
Dustin, you mentioned
Okay.
Dustin.
Yeah.
I really like
So do
Dustin this
I.
season
Thank
as
God.
well. Not even in terms of because you were talking about like off-screen development. I mean,
I
yeah,
mean,
but more in the sense that well, yes, but no. It just feels like he is a different person, which is off-screen development, I guess. Um, it's just that it's just that, or not even the fact that he's developed off-screen, but the fact that he's the only one that seems like he's dealing with trauma at all of any kind.
uh,
Everyone else, and I understand it for someone like Hopper, who's like a seasoned vet, and you have Eleven, who's so dialed just being like a machine at this point. Like she is doing to herself like what Hawkins' lab was doing to her at
mm,
this point. But the other kids and stuff, you'd expect them to goodbye, Jack.
I'm here. It's fine.
the other kids, the other kids and stuff, you'd expect them to have something. Um, and it just feels like they're missing what the the shit that Dustin has going, and it's understandable because Eddie was the one. He was the one that was close to Eddie,
Yes.
but after seasons and seasons, it feels like they're all a little bit weightless.
Do you agree with what you've just said about everybody? Do you only think that applies to Dustin? Because I
My
would disagree. So.
uh, we have, I'd say we've got Will's weight, which is very like underlying. I mean, and we do have Lucas's to be fair.
Yeah.
Um, I think Lucas again deserves more time this season though. I think we got like
Yeah.
spotlight on him and Max last season. Obviously, we've had Max back this season. Um, I want to see more of Lucas again.
I
Um,
think he's an underrated character. He's one of my favorites.
yeah, he's pretty cool.
Um,
Um,
no, with Dustin, I agree. It's like I think the frustrations that people have are like, oh, I want him and Steve to have the same. Look, there's 4 seasons, or well, I
oh,
guess 3.
for me, right? Thank God they're changing up that dynamic
Yes,
because they'd replicated it twice with them having really close bonds, and then in season 4 they played on it where he's like, "Why do I keep getting stuck with the kids?" But it was a much larger group. There was still any older
yes.
kids there, and then he ditches them. Um, I appreciate the fact that they're bickering. I'm hoping that they show something that's a bit deeper for the reason that they're bickering, because I feel like it's quite shallow if there isn't anything there. Um,
Do you
what's
think
that?
that needs to be explained though?
I think there needs to be more to that. I think
Oh,
Dustin being upset about his close friend having passed away, and then Steve being kind of bitchy about it needs to be there needs to be something more there, I think. Because that's what we're going with right now.
hmm.
And I don't see Steve being such as shallow a character as to be bothered by Dustin wallowing in his emotions, I guess.
Interesting. I don't think that's going to get explained. The way that I took it is like when somebody that you know and that you care about and that you are friends with changes, because people change.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the relationship between two people changes because of that, and I think that's what it is. I think it's more like a rubbing it up against of their personalities. What I think would be, what I hope they do is that they at least talk about that. Like, he expresses that he's seen a change in Dustin
Mm-hmm.
and that he's like finding it difficult with him. Not necessarily that there's a deeper reason why he's suddenly
Well,
at odds, but like sometimes you
to,
just don't rub up well with like people.
I think you've said kind of the same thing in the sense
But
that there has been a change there, but it's just internal for both of them.
sure, but I mean, I doubt there's going to be a scene where like Steve is cognizant of the reason that he's being um like standoffish with Dustin. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's all like, as you say,
But
internal.
if Yeah, yeah, but you just said if they manage to have a conversation, which you hope that they do, that
Yeah,
might come out.
in the sense that yeah, but sorry, what I'm saying is I don't think it's Steve changing. I think it's him expressing his whatever his frustrations at Dustin having changed,
Hmm.
less that Steve
I
has
need to
changed.
see more.
Sure, yeah, yeah.
I so I
But are
guess we're
you
there.
at this point? Are you? Because I've seen some people that they're like, "Oh my god, every scene with them. Ooh,
No,
I'm so
I'm happy
so
about
okay."
it,
So am
but
I.
there needs to be some sort of resolution to it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. As there needs
Um,
to be for a lot of things. They've got a lot of things to do.
well, I've
Like,
also seen obviously Steve and Jonathan are bickering as well.
mm-hmm.
I think that's the worst one of the two. Yeah, thumbs up. Agree with me. Um, of the two,
Yeah.
them kind of being a bit monkey brainish about
Again,
Nancy.
I guess I put it down to reminding myself that these characters are not that old. I do think that needs more explanation other than you have a few like different. I'm a little confused by it because in season 4 I actually was weirdly enjoying it being so about Nancy, but Nancy having nothing to do with it. It being on the guys. I thought it was an interesting perspective. Like obviously Nancy gets close with Steve throughout that season, but it's framed as like issues with Steve, or sorry, I guess issues not with Steve, and then issues with Jonathan.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then in this season, you have Jonathan is hoping to propose to her, but we're led to believe that their relationship, he hasn't really cared about her in the period of time between when we last saw them and now. and that's why Steve is frustrated. Is because he's like, well, it doesn't seem that you actually care for her at all, and I do, so that's fucking frustrating. But yeah, now he's trying to like, I don't know. I actually see Steve's perspective. If we saw Jonathan being apathetic to his relationship, but we're not seeing him be apathetic, and whether or not that's because he's being like hush hush weird because he's been trying to marry her, like it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up to me.
And also, yeah, also like what you're saying is they are at the end of the day still like teenagers or young adults, I guess,
Yeah.
where um it might not be the case that Jonathan's being apathetic and Steve is just seeing that. Like he's just interpreting things differently because that's what he wants to see as
Yeah.
well. Um, so I don't know. I'm sure they will explore it more. It's just we've watched part of half of a season
Mm.
at this point, so we're commenting on things that surely will be um they'll dive into more.
I think the issue with that as well is that when you don't see a resolution or reasons, that comes off as like every other fucking thing where it's like two guys trying to fight over a girl. Like,
Yeah.
well, to be honest, I actually quite liked what they were doing with it in when they shared scenes and they had to be together, and it was more like just getting like annoyed at each other. What I didn't like was the I'm gonna turn on that thing up there and let's like race for her love. I thought that was whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, how are you feeling about Elle and Hopper's stuff?
I'm fed up.
Little uninteresting.
I think, do you know, I've thought about this quite a bit. I think for some reason it is always interesting every season seeing the dynamics that they come up with. Everybody bounces off everybody so differently. I think that's where they flourish in their writing, is finding these really unique pairings. They have done Hopper and Elle so much. Season 2 is literally what? Every episode bar, I guess the last two, it's just Elle and Hopper scenes, or like she's locked in a cabin that entire
It's
season.
actually shockingly early on that the
Oh no,
like
because she
Hopper
goes,
going down the thing
yeah,
is it's like halfway through the season, but like her other pairing is just Hopper.
yes, yeah. And then season 3, she gets more pairings. She is with Max quite a bit, but like her story again is centered around Hopper quite a bit. And then season 4, Hopper's not there. So the absence of Hopper is kind of her relationship. And also, like, it's cool we see her with like other people for 2 episodes and then she's taken away and then the entirety of it is with Papa. So like she's always singled out with an older man. And
Yeah, yeah.
I really like Millie Bobby Brown's performance on the whole. I think she's actually quite especially when she was younger. Like those first
Yeah.
seasons, you're like, holy shit, you're good.
Because I think in this season I'm not buying it as much.
I agree. But I don't know whether
I
or
think
not
that's
that's
maybe down
'cause-
to the dialogue as well, though.
yes, whether or not they've like made her superhero and generic.
It's not just the like I am a powerful superhero person. It's the like not being able to string a sentence together normally after like 4.5 years. I think it's longer now. Whatever it is. I just in reality I think she would have picked it up by this point, and she'd be speaking like the rest of them.
Okay, so Owen's issue is that she hasn't learned proper English.
Well, it's more like it's more like when she starts in the show, the reason that she speaks like that is because she's almost had the experience of like an infant, where she's like less exposed to the world or whatever,
Hmm.
and then she ends up like going to school and she's surrounded by a bunch of people the same age as her. I just don't believe the
But
like.
Owen, she wasn't friends with any of them. They were bullies.
What do you mean? Angela was like one of her best
Oh, sorry,
friends.
Angela's her best friend, Mike.
She's
I
she's
love
lying
that
to you,
scene.
Mike. She's lying to you.
Angela!
Bullshit.
Most deserved, like, piece of violence of that show. My god. It's horrible. Um, yeah, I don't know. I just think it's just well worn. I don't think they're thing was that interesting. I was actually, do you know what? I was a little confused what was going on with their storylines. I was like, where's this leading to? And then
Yeah.
obviously, you learn that Hopper has been going in for all of these runs with a bomb strapped to his chest, which I'm like, okay, that's a really interesting development. Um, and I wonder, I do plan on rewatching this volume. I wonder if then I notice in earlier scenes when he's saying like goodbyes to people before he does the run,
Mm.
if that feels a bit more weighty. Because credit to David Harbour, I think he actually is very good at that. I think he always gives a really good performance, in my opinion. Um,
My favorite of his was last season though. It just felt so. There was so much
wow,
depth to him.
God, I honestly don't know. I think he's great in the first season
Mm.
and the third. I think he's honestly really consistent. Um,
I like him in the first season, just like even just as like a leading man. Like I feel like
totally,
sometimes
yeah.
as a leading man, you can like sometimes there will just be a failure of like casting one, I guess, and they'll be kind of bland. But he manages to do it with depth.
Mm-hmm. Um,
Um,
so yeah, I don't know. Their storyline was a bit like, okay, we're seeing them spend time together, and they're obviously just processing the relationship a bit. But then when that feels like it's going to lead to a reveal, and they're trying to convince us it's Vecna, I'm I know it's not. So I'm like, who is the other person they could reveal?
yeah, and it leads you straight to egg.
Yeah,
Um,
because then I
yeah,
don't know if you
I've,
thought this, like the logic of the upside down, and I immediately started going, how the fuck have they developed a thing for 11 to get blasted? I'm assuming that's just illusions.
oh yeah, yeah, it must be. So like, yeah, that's it was confusing me because I didn't get to the eight thing until like the episode when they were actually going to like get eight. Because I was sitting there being like, how, like, I was still like, it's not Vecna, but because I was sitting there being like, he can't be in the thing
Yep.
and also doing all of this stuff. It doesn't make sense, and they're not going
Yep.
to like militarize him. So yeah, it must be. I assumed it was like sound waves or something. But then as soon as he did that reveal, became apparent that it was obviously like mind waves. However they've managed to figure that out. But I think it is cool to, as much as people dislike that um episode. I think I'm in the same boat as you. I don't dislike it as much as other people, because it provides character development for Elle. Um, the it's cool that she gets to be brought back into like the main storyline
Mm-hmm.
to then hopefully team up with. And also I saw somebody else, I don't know if it was you or somebody else talking about, and I'd realized it myself watching last season. Her power is so rare, like number eights, because the rest of them don't seem to be capable of doing that.
Yeah.
It only
Well,
seems to be one
Vecna.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like they're all diluted versions of Vecna, but now they have two people that makes up
Well,
a
I
Vecna.
don't know if this is ever addressed in the show. They are all diluted versions of Vecna.
Because they all are like recreations. They're trying to attempt to make other versions of them.
Because Dr. Brenner took them as kids and performed
Yeah.
transfusions on them. That's how they had powers.
Yeah, I mean I assumed there was something there. I wasn't necessarily sure that they were given his blood. Um, but that's interesting.
Yeah.
I also know that had I watched the stage play like you, I would have a lot more context for things happening in the season.
Yeah.
I'm in like a weird two minds thing of I want to know but I don't. I keep seeing TikToks come up that want to tell me about the caves, and I save them and then go past them because I can't tell if I want to know about it before the end of the show. And if I do, I want to just watch the play, whether that's like pirating it or seeing it, or if I just watch the show and then get the prequel afterwards.
I don't know. I think the prequel, and they've said this, will work after the show. I also don't think, having seen the prequel, that like I have so much knowledge that other people don't have. I think I just have a little bit more context for how he came to be. However, it is in the show. Like, I mean, if you don't mind me saying some of this, that is in the show. In season 4, when he's first transported, he's transported to Dimension X. I guess this other stuff
It's
isn't in the
never
show.
named. So exactly. So I saw a TikTok
It's
before they
never
even
named in the.
mentioned.
It's not named in the play either.
Okay, but it's never addressed in the show that it's a different dimension from the Upside Down.
That also isn't addressed in the play. That's a theory people have.
Oh, okay.
All of that's still unclear. I think people have came up with there the inciting incident for Vecna will it probably will come up. Well, it has to in the show, I'm assuming. But that, do you know what it feels like? It just feels like learning about a little Easter egg. The caves are an Easter egg, basically. They're
Right.
alluding to something that has happened in Henry's past. I've then was go ahead, go ahead.
I don't know whether to let you finish or not.
No, go for it, go for it.
What's also interesting is Henry went to Hawkins High, right?
Yes.
Which is very confusing when you've only watched the show, because you would assume that he was locked up immediately
So
after Brenner got him.
so the show shows the Creel family moving into Hawkins. Then the plate there's a huge gap that isn't ever addressed really in the show because it's just Henry Creel's father going, here is what happened with like Henry. And obviously he's not going to say, we moved, my son attended school for a month, and then he started to kill animals and whatever. Oh, so the bit where he's like, animals started getting killed in our house, he was doing these different things, and that led to him killing like family members. Interspliced between all of that is he's attending school, he meets people. I don't know if you I don't know how much you want to know. And then you again, I some of this will be spoiling the play. Then there's something else that happens, then the family killing, then the play picks up again.
Right, okay. Yeah, there's a lot in there, and it seems like
If it
the is the play in high school?
So I have a video up on my TikTok. If anybody, because I'm assuming I'm not going to spoil it here. You're probably not going to want to know. I have a like 4 minute recap of the entire thing that I think is enough information for you to be okay, cool, and you'll be fine with the rest of the season. Obviously they'll address it. It's just if you want to know. I would still encourage people to see the show because it was a cool show. But like, if you just want like that added bit of background, there's just like cool lore bits and bobs.
Yeah. And if I'm gonna find out about the lore, I want to experience the lore. That's
Yeah,
the goal.
the cave thing is
Lastly,
interesting. It has led me to a theory, but I obviously won't. That theory is also up on my TikTok if people want to know. I guess.
little shameless self plug. The I think the only things we haven't really covered are like the Will Robin-y kind of stuff.
Let's leave that last. I have many thoughts.
Do you have more thoughts before we get to?
I don't know. Who have we not? It's really easy for me to just think about with characters. Oh, we kind of have covered everybody.
Yeah.
What? Oh, no, we haven't. I have two MVPs.
Okay. Oh, delightful.
Delightful Derek.
That's it. Yeah.
I
Did they say that more than once?
no.
Twice.
Oh, twice. Yeah, yeah. Well, a few times.
It's just
when they're,
that
reminding
stuck
him
so well. Where
because
like
he's
I
an
didn't,
icon.
but it didn't feel significant when they called him that delightful Derek to me, and like TikTok is just ran with delightful Derek.
Sorry, it didn't when he like slammed down the walkie-talkie. When I'm Delightful Derek.
Fair enough.
I was like, yes, let's go, Delightful Derek. He's fantastic. Again, I think it just harkens back with both him and Holly to like the earlier seasons of the kids just being fucking hilarious. That's something that I want to bring up inside the kind of like Delightful Derek storyline. People have really criticized the writing of this show. They're like, it's cringe this season. And I do think there's like the odd line or two that's like, oh, okay, whatever. I can't believe if people have watched the rest of the season, it's so in line with every other season. Like, it does not feel out of place for the majority, I would say. Too. I just think you need to remind yourself that these are kids. When people are like, the worst line I've ever heard in a TV show, and it's they're going to their plan is like the dick plan, and Lucas and Mike are there, and he's like, oh, it's gonna be hard, and Lucas goes,
sorry, that is terrible.
I'll soften it. No, right, please let me advocate for this line.
Forced.
Please let me advocate for this line. You have a group of teenage boys. We have friends who are older than teenagers who would say the same fucking thing in that situation.
For sure. There's like a level of irony when they say it though, and like there's more layers to it. Like they are funnier jokes than what seemed like 40-year-old men writing the lines for like these teenagers.
Oh,
like
stop.
it was really bad. That bit is horrendous. Like I cannot defend those.
I love it. I think it's so funny
in general. But I'm not looking forward to rewatching that bit.
But it's funny because it makes no sense whatsoever. Oh yeah, it's hard. Yeah, I'll soften it. Like, I'm sorry, people just don't know how to have fun. Like, if it's just teenage boy
that's
humor.
Not. You can't defend that as people not knowing how to have fun.
Yes, I can.
It's just bad. It's just bad writing.
No, right. If Nancy delivers that line, sure. It's the...
No, even them delivering the line like that.
No,
it doesn't work there. It does not work.
I disagree. And all of the dick line lovers, just know I'm with you.
Dick line lovers rise up.
Episode 4 is filled with innuendos. There was moments that I didn't know if it was supposed to be funny that I was cackling when like. Will is having a really serious conversation, and then Robin off screen goes, "You're a receiver."
That was hilarious because I also picked up on that. I think she had funny dick jokes. I think
this is in line with her character.
Yeah,
but she is the person that just goes, "Dick."
I'm on board with those ones.
Hey, I hope you rewatch it and you go, yeah. Picture that conversation. I know you know who I'm thinking of. Picture that conversation.
I know you know. I know
the two friends that I'm thinking of. You'll love it.
Admittedly, I can see one of them doing it. I can't see the other one like replying in the same way.
I hope we're thinking about the same people because I could fully see both of
them. Definitely are. But moving on from the dick lines.
I really like that whole storyline though. The trying to get the kids out and then involving a lot of the characters. It was nice to see. I know Dustin's off doing his own thing again, but the 3 other kids together, them working with Robin, even like there was just what I enjoyed was we had pairings, but we had mix up of pairings as time went on. Robin and Murray briefly, cool.
Using the tunnels as well was like a nice like added touch. Because I admittedly had not really thought about what happened to those tunnels after season 2. So for them to just like go back down there.
Why would you ever go back down there though? Like prior to this. The people who knew would be like, fuck off, no.
Yeah, for sure. But the fact that they're just like intact and now just not like these gross other dimensional, like technically ashy places, like they're safe to go down relatively. It's just cool.
I agree. Should we talk about the ending? Or
I think were you going to touch on another character there? Because you mentioned Delightful Derek. Were you going to mention Erica as well? Because she just popped into my head.
God. Oh. I'm sorry. the amount of like fan edits I've seen of her where she's like, "And I told you to eat your
You're
damn
damn.
pie."
It's great. It's so good.
Oh my god, that entire scene where she is sitting there with that family, I'm like, oh man, we should be following you. Like,
I think like the fact that they've just developed her each season. I mean, she did get more in the previous ones. I hope she gets more in this season.
mm.
But like from being the sister that just called her brother a nerd in season two to then being utilized the way she was in like three and four was just amazing.
But also, it feels what I love about the show is that sometimes it's all heightened, this kind of stuff, but some of their storylines feel very real. Her being like, making fun of my brother because he's a nerd, but I'm doing that because deep down I actually am a nerd and like that kind of stuff. And then his nerdy friends empowering her to embrace that side of herself.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Feels very like natural and normal for kids in a world that's like so mad. In the same way that I liked Lucas's storyline in the last season, I'm like, this feels so normal.
Yeah, yeah, like yeah. There's some
Like
like
dealing
grounded stuff
with,
in there.
yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like that too.
Um,
In terms of ending,
yeah, the ending's hype as fuck. Like, don't get me wrong. Fuck yeah, when he does the.
oh no, are you gonna dunk on it?
No, I love it.
Oh, okay. Me
Um,
too.
I really love the ending, and I think the season, like in the last 20 minutes, you're like, oh my god, this is what it should be. I do think
Yes.
it's odd that we spent 4 episodes. Somebody totaled it. It was like some absurd number over 4 hours, 4 hours something or whatever of screen time to get to the point that we have. And I understand that being a criticism because I think it should have got there a little sooner. However, I also understand why it took that long because they have so many characters to deal with. Um, and none of them I'd be like, oh, I don't want to see what they're doing. Um,
Yeah.
and they're spoilt for choice with that. Like, it's a good problem to have, but you do feel it.
A problem they give themselves as well. Um,
Absolutely. Because even like we're saying Erica, we love Erica.
yeah.
Did her stuff need to be here? Does she need to be this inclusion? Like, you could have slimmed down the class a lot, but then you're missing characters that are, you know,
Yeah. And that you're happy to see as well. And you
totally.
would you would never want to have built her up as much as you did the previous seasons and then see none of her this season.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, it's weird. I don't know
so
if you felt
but
this way when when she has her hand up and we see her for the first time. It's like, oh fuck, you're
and she's like fully
here.
embraced.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I had that, but I was like, oh, she's fully embraced the fact that she is a nerd now, which I think is
Yeah.
really cool. Um, the I think it's really cool that we got to see the Robin Will pairing. I think that like match made in heaven. Just seeing her kind of like inform him of her own like queer experience, and then having like the kind of like speech that she gives, and it feeling really impactful just at the time,
Mm-hmm.
but then having that come back around at the end and then get like recontextualized with the way that it all concludes was unreal.
Yeah.
I know you would have been a sucker for it because I was the whole like going back to the past, but then showing it on like the like video footage,
Yeah.
and then um also the fact that it is the story that Mike told Will
Mm-hmm.
in one of the previous seasons.
It was the best
And
decision
I
he
just
ever
thought that was
made.
incredible. Yeah, was asking if you'd be his friend.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Um, and just in terms of we were talking about how the season's broken up. I think I was more critical of that fact before we got to here because I'm assuming the whole season is going to be a bit of like an arc for like Will in general and like that storyline because that's where it started and that's where it should finish. But the fact that they did it just with these 4 episodes, having like the first scene be Will and the last scene be Will, and showing how like that trauma he does to deal with that for the freaking 5 seasons to get to this point where he finally accepts who he is and now he's able to like make something of it
Mm,
is very cool.
I agree. Um, I mean, I'm a sucker for sort of stories like this. I've been thinking a lot about this actually. I think I might write something about this because, um, historically, this is actually quite a big deal. I can't think of any other like major show like this. I mean, I don't even think I need the word major there. Any like show that has focused and had its centerpiece be a queer character also coming to terms with their queerness. I mean, that's sure that's a reading of it, but it's very explicit in its text that way.
What is weird about that though is like yes, he is the central character, one of the
Mm-hmm.
central characters of the show, and he's like the through line for it, but it's like a through line that got pulled down for a couple seasons.
Yes,
Like it
yes.
just got lost. I love that my laptop does this.
You could read into that though. You could read that into like the queer experience of people trying to hide themselves. Um,
I
that's me
mean,
being
I think
very
that's a
generous.
yeah, I feel like that's a cool like read. Something that you can like add that to it. Because I
Yeah.
don't know if that was necessarily the intention or anything, but
Yeah, sure.
given the
Like,
way that they're writing his character in this,
mm-hmm,
especially in this last season and the season before, really, because the season before is when we kind of went back to him,
mm-hmm,
but then he was kind of this person that was trying to like shove all those emotions down and hide that version of himself.
mm-hmm.
Um, I guess really it's season three where we properly I think lose Will.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you lose Will and he's the thing you're trying to find. Season two, he actually is more important in season two than I remembered him being.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like the possessed version of himself, but he's trying to spy on the Mind Flayer. Season what is he doing in season three?
He's upset that his friends only
Oh,
all
I
want to
still
like.
like that stuff.
So do I.
To be honest, but I don't. Yeah, I think that is lesser than what is going on. I guess in that season
But it's
in
still a
terms
through
of like
line, do you know? Like,
yeah, yeah, it is. And then but I think we've got to refocus again on him in seasons four and five.
I will say, um, this probably considering how I mean, I genuinely have been rewatching the entirety of the show. I didn't realize how kind of obsessed with the show I was. I've probably not said it on here, but like I have been like since I was a kid. Like we painted. My parents let me paint some of our house, the letters on the wall because I was that obsessed with the show.
I remember not
So
being able
because
to believe that they let you do that.
I know, I don't think anybody was. I think they were like, "That's you went somewhere for that, yeah." And I was like, "No, it's sitting in my house right now." So that I'm like obsessed with the show, given who I am and the character and the themes and the shit that like the show's dealing with, and also being a fucking crier with this kind of stuff. I think I should have been absolutely floored by this, and I wasn't. I still enjoy it, but I think there's a real big negative holding all of this back. And I hate shitting on people like this, but I really think Will is not good in this. I think at the end it's really cool, and I think throughout the entirety of the show, whenever he's doing the like heavier, like actiony, like fucking horror shit, he's great. He's actually a really good physical performer. Any scenes of intimacy I really struggle with them. When Robin was first giving the speech, I thought, well, I mean, I was like, oh, this is a gorgeous speech. I was tearing up, and they mainly hold on Maya Hawke, and then they cut back to him, and I'm like, oh god, no, like, no. So I don't know. I just wasn't connecting with him as much
Right.
in the episodes that we'd seen, and that's why I think it was a fucking genius move. Whether or not it was intentional or not, that maybe performance wise, this is why they did it, but to cut back to those scenes as soon as I shit you not, as soon as the screen went black and it came up with a little film of him on the screen, I started sobbing. I was like, I know what they're doing. I was like, oh
Shocker.
no, oh no. So yeah, I was watching the last like 5 minutes covered in tears. I thought
Um,
that was so effective, and I think Maya Hawke's one of the better actresses on this show, and like
I think
she's a
so
great
too.
voice actress as well. So her speech. The way that they constructed all of that, I think was so gorgeous. I just wish I connected with it a bit more.
I think I kind of agree what you're saying about Will. I don't think Noah's been great mainly for me in seasons 3 and 4. I actually preferred him this season than specifically season 4.
Hmm.
Um I feel like he's a different person almost. Which is weird. I don't know how good I feel about that, but I guess then you could see that as some sort of maybe low-lying development that he just needed kind of um Robin to like break through,
Mm.
if that makes sense. Um, but no, I get what you're saying. I wouldn't say I didn't really connect, but I think it was scene by scene basis for me. I think the scene that
Yes.
you're talking about is a lot more along those lines. I think there's a scene with his mum that I think he's better in.
So do I. I actually agree. I fully agree with that.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I just I don't know. It's a holistic thing. I agree from scene to scene. It varies, but like I should. I've watched multiple seasons now with this person playing this character. I should
yeah.
feel a lot in these scenes, and I'm not, and that sucks.
You said you weren't floored. Were you floored by the final like scenes, like
Oh
the
my
final
god,
cutting between?
incredible! Yeah, like that shit.
Because
When
I was
when
like, what?
I mean, if we start from like when Vecna shows up with his little snatched waist, and he's just like boom, boom, like
I was slightly off put by that for a second.
so was I. Like the design
Yeah,
being so different.
yeah.
So was I. I was like, why? But then I remembered he'd been like fucking burnt to a crisp and like shotgunned a million times. So
It works for like they're obviously doing the because all the seasons kind of are inspired by bits of the 80s and things,
hmm.
and they've decided like this is their more actiony version of Vecna this season. So like the original one was like the horror sleazy like Freddy Krueger, and this one's like whatever Terminator, I guess.
My I don't know. So they announced that they would have like the most like violent kill in this season. I don't know if we've
Oh
seen it
yeah,
yet, but the hand through the face actually made me go, "Oh fuck!"
yeah. I gotta say I did love that final bit where they're all running around and stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
that's where I think Mike is great. I like his
uh,
performance throughout, but I thought he was really great in that scene.
yeah, agreed.
Um,
What do you
yeah,
what do you think about Byler?
I think I'm actually gonna make a TikTok on this because it's annoying me. I see
What the
so many
Byler stuff
people
in
that are
general?
like, a lot of my feed is just Stranger Things now. I'm seeing people like, you lack media literacy if you think that this is an end game. I mean, my
I think they've
perspective
left it
on it.
ambiguous so that they
I
could
know.
do it.
Uh, I don't think they should. I think did we speak about this maybe off the podcast last week?
I think, yeah, we spoke about it off the podcast because I didn't believe they'd put enough legwork into it to
How
make it
do you?
work.
I,
And your argument was that you can do that in a season. So,
I think we might flip flop. How did you feel at the end of your rewatch then? Because like,
um, it's funny. I think I'd always viewed it as, I mean, obviously the emotions were there for Will. I think you'd have to be blind not to see that. I think Mike, if they are there, he doesn't necessarily know that they're there because I
hmm.
feel like you can kind of see it, but he doesn't recognize what the fuck they are. Um, so that yeah, that's interesting. I have seen people talk about the way scenes are shot and framed and set
Yeah.
up, and I do think that's interesting and previous seasons and things.
Okay.
Um,
I just think though that can all be from the perspective of Will, who is the yearner. Like, I think especially with Robin's speech, this is the thing that's getting me. Robin is talking about herself and her experience with, oh, not Vicky, because Vicky's who she's with.
oh
Uh,
shit, no, I should know this.
yeah, no.
She's the singer.
Stacy.
No, it's not
She is the
Stacey.
singer.
Fuck. Why do we
I
know
can't remember her
this?
name. I know.
It's not Vicky. We did
Yeah.
Vicky. Uh,
Oh, whoops.
it
I don't
doesn't
know.
matter.
But she's talking about her experience with her, and that the way that I kind of took that scene is that that was helpful for her to process her own sexuality, and that
Hmm.
maybe she didn't view it as a sexuality thing at the time. She viewed it as a I just love this person, but that person is never going to love her back, so she needs to move past that and then realize who she is internally and like deal with that
Hmm.
instead. And once she does that, then she can fly or whatever. Like she's free of like the chains that have whatever held her back. I don't understand how you read that and not go. Robin looked at her and Robin looked at him and Mike, clearly saw that he was pining after him, and that's the reason that she gives him that speech.
Yep.
I don't think if it's mutual that she views that, goes, maybe I should tell him to steer clear of that, and then gives that speech. It just feels weird to me, like reading it like that.
I do wonder. It's one of those things. Like essentially, it's kind of like love yourself. Like you just accept who you are. Um, and then maybe if they end up going that route, if they decided to go that route with Mike and Will, him accepting who he is would be like the like a sort of launching pad. I think it is really weird where because of the way that Mike looks at Will at the end of that episode, with him like with his superpowers, you can read that one of two ways: of like the awe of the superpower, or like him like recognizing Will in some other way. But if they do it, it makes it. I thought it makes it shallow because it's like, oh, Will's got superpowers now. That's the thing that I'm into. I think I sent you a comment
You
from a
did.
TikTok. Yeah,
I
it
have a
was like
very
it's weird
specific
that like
type.
like Mike's got a niche. It's like a
Yeah.
very specific type, and he's found two people with that type. Um, but I saw somebody else frame it as he kind of his every time he talks about Elle and his like love for Elle, he's talking
Mm-hmm.
about how like powerful she is and things.
Yeah.
And it's never necessarily about like who she actually is. It's just kind of like what she can do. Whereas, like you can see that he has a really strong love, whether it be platonic or whatever, for Will and who Will is.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, if they decide to go that route and they've given Will powers, I saw somebody talk about how it puts them on an even playing field of him and Eleven both have powers, and you can just look at them without the bias of superpowers
Mm-hmm.
and recognize that he actually does love someone for who they are and love someone else for different reasons.
I mean, as we kind of spoke about, I guess not on the podcast, but like I think they had built it up in prior seasons where, but in the way that like prior to season three, it's not sexual. It's like it's untainted love because they fully love each other at that point, and why wouldn't they? They're just kids, and that's their best friend. Like he loves them, and it's like the introduction, I guess, of sexuality and stuff that it tears them apart a bit in season three. But then there are scenes that like specifically there's a scene where they're in the garage and Mike's like, well, what did you think was going to happen? We were going to sit and play D&D for the rest of our lives together. And Will's like, yeah, I did think that would happen. He's like, well, no, like we had to grow up, we had to get girlfriends. He specifically goes like, we have to get girlfriends. And I think you could read that as being like, well, what did you think? The world doesn't really accept people like us. So
I didn't even think about that.
that, to be
Like
honest, that was the
being
scene that I was like, oh,
there's another one in season four where like him and Will are talking and Mike's like, she's my girlfriend. And he's like, well, then what are we? And he goes,
uh
we're
huh,
friends. We're friends.
uh huh.
And that's like, I saw something else being like, now imagine Lucas and Dustin saying that to each
Yes,
other.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Like it's not something that you just say. Like,
There's,
there's something else there.
is it that bit where like Mike goes into his room and he's talking to Will? I don't know. The framing of that scene is really weird, and there's also bits where like Mike's biting his lip as he talks to Will. I'm not making this shit up.
I don't remember that.
There's a bit where he's like, I don't know, Will's talking to somebody. I don't know. I do think there is enough evidence there, but I think they'd have to explore it. They've just
Right.
got so much to do. I think they'd have to explore it a bit with Mike and at least give them a
Do you
season of him.
know? Do you know how much time they've got? They've got 4 episodes.
Hmm.
Do you know how long those episodes are?
I mean, three of them will be under an hour and a half because only they said only one episode was over an hour and a half, bar the finale, which is over 2 hours.
See, I'm grateful for that. For like this finale specifically, I want them to spend as much time as they need wrapping up the this story. I'm surprised that the other episodes are under an hour and a half.
Yeah,
Um, I
but
wonder
then
if they're gonna, but they say that and they're all gonna be like an hour 20, an hour 25.
oh, probably. I mean, yeah, but also the story's smaller than the story in season four.
Because there's not as much of a mystery to go solve.
Well, all the characters are in the same sort of place, so you can actually have multiple things going on in the same scene.
I
Um,
think if Elle and Hopper are in the Upside Down for the whole of this season, I'm going to be bummed out a bit. I
totally,
don't want to see that.
I agree. I need to see her with other people. I think
Yeah.
I actually that's where I think the argument for like Mike and Elle kind of falls apart because I know people would say that they've been in a relationship for the entirety of whatever. The only really time that you see that is the start of season three, and the result of that is they break up.
Yeah. Which,
So
with people talking about like the previous seasons, like they play it for laughs there, but there's like the much more dramatic stuff with him and Will's like
I
friendship breaking down in season 3. So,
I wouldn't be mad either way. I think my point with this season though has been like we've seen half of it. I don't think they've specifically with the narrative choices they've made, specifically with Will, weirdly, I think they're trying to say the opposite. And I like I really like the sentiment behind that speech of being like, don't pour your love into like get over that, cross that bridge. Like I like that a lot. Um, which is why I like because initially I was like, see the flashback stuff. I was already crying, so this was watching it through like fucking steamy eyes. But like, if it was just gonna be about him and Will, I was going to be a bit. I don't. That kind of undoes what that speech is saying, and then but you have it's like the love that he has from everybody else, from like Jonathan and them and his friends and whatever. Um, I'll be interested. Do you think it will? Do you think that's where they're going?
actually, I honestly don't know. I feel like it's a little rushed still if they do it.
But do you think it's satisfying him and 11?
But Mike and 11, no. But
Yeah,
what if they just all end up? They could all just end up separate. Like,
that's
why
true.
nobody's admitted that scenario. I think everyone's trying to like ship people, and it's
Yes.
like
Give me Steve and Jonathan together. Nancy can be by herself.
full well it could be the kind of thing of um Mike and 11, like, right, so Mike's in that situation, everything's on a level playing field, decides that he likes Will and not 11. Him and 11 fall apart. He's interested in Will. Will's learned to love himself. He's kind of like beyond that point, and then it's just like
See,
everyone's
but
separate.
I think so. This is why I think the time jump's weird as well now. Like, I like that Will has gotten over Mike. If you're using that as a reading of the end of this little chunk, I still think there'd be repercussions for Will where it would take him a little bit more time to get over him. But if the show then wants to go, but Will, Mike's here, would he then go, I mean, I was getting over myself, and that being a
But that's one of
possibility.
those
But
things. I don't think those two things are mutually exclusive because I think that speech was about self-acceptance. And so it's fine if he becomes the person that is fine just being who he is, and then still has an interest in Mike.
interesting. I just interesting. I mean, obviously, I view the speech that way as well, but I just don't need to go back to him yearning after somebody that's
It doesn't have to be
Like,
yearning. No more yearning.
I,
It seems like
I'm,
he's at a good point. We don't need to see Will yearning
no, do you know what
anymore.
happens? He starts to levitate Mike. And he's like, "I'll crunch your bones if you don't love me."
He's there like,
um, predictions for the last season. Can I start?
yeah, because I haven't sat and thought about predictions yet.
Okay, I think time travel, or at
Uh,
least an Eisen Rosenberg. Is that what they're called? The Eisen Rosenberg
oh, the wormhole that
bridges.
they brought up in the season. Yeah.
I immediately they cut to Mr. Clark and I was like, okay, so that's important, and the fact it looks the exact same as Vecna's lair, I'm like, oh well. I either think it's
Honestly,
time.
had not noticed
Oh really?
the shape. Yeah,
Have you
hadn't
noticed
even
that
thought about that.
Vecna's lair also looks like the Mind Flayer?
Have we seen his lair from the outside?
We have seen a drawing of it that Will has done.
No. So the
Okay.
lair looks like the mind flare.
Yeah, which plays into theories that I have about the play and stuff, which are still not entirely clear in the show, which I find interesting.
Okay, I also thought time travel
I,
because I think we've all been waiting for that, especially since season four, with the Upside Down being locked in a certain point in time. I think time became of interest last
mm,
season.
um, that or like I feel like the end goal is just. Oh, actually, sorry about the skipping in time thing. I think that the main thing that doesn't work with it is what has Vecna been doing this entire time? I'm assuming they're going to have to explain that because if they don't, what was he doing?
Yeah, I think yeah, it's one of those things that I do find it interesting. It's like why is he stayed behind the scenes as well? Because you
Mm-hmm.
kind of just have to write that into the story because you obviously didn't know where you were going, and then you had the original Demogorgon doing its thing. Um, Obviously, I guess I asked you. I don't know if this was on a call, or on the podcast about the Demogorgon opening its own, like portals in season
Yep.
one. I guess it can just do that when there's a mother gate. I guess that's just the
Oh.
logic behind that.
Oh, is that what that is?
Well, because the Demogorgon, like, and I mean, in this season, really cool because they've got the budget.
Yes,
You
totally.
just see it tearing it open and jumping through. But it was doing that in season one.
Yes.
Um, and then in season two, I guess they were all demi-dogs, so they maybe couldn't do that. And
But I'm
season
confused because then
three,
in season one, you have like Holly noticing the wall. Like, do you remember that scene? Like, why didn't it just rip through and steal Holly at that point? Because you presume they wanted a child.
are we gonna just have to headcanon it and be like the bigger the mother gate, the easier it is?
I mean that makes sense because I'm also thinking, what the fuck was the point in anything in season four if his plan is to steal 12 children? Because he could have done that the same way with Will, but
Mm.
did that take too long that he wanted this thing to be open so that he could cause chaos and get them all quickly? But if that's the case, why didn't he just do that straight after it opening?
It's also it's really interesting now that they're gonna have to go. I'm so interested to see what like the full plan is and like why he started with Will and just Will.
Mm.
Do you think Will was supposed to be some sort of like what he became at the end of season four, but like to be able to possess him that way?
I just think it is
Season five even.
kind of what he says, where he's like, "You were a test subject because you were weak and frail." And I mean, I view it as a more thematic thing about a queer kid, less
Mm.
so a plot.
I want to know the plot side.
I
I need to
know, I
know.
know. I've had enough of this thematic stuff. Give me the goose. Ah, you've learned to
No, I
love yourself.
understand
Okay, but
that
what's
stuff.
the
I want the
upside down?
plot.
um, yeah, I don't know. I very little substantial things. Like, I obviously knew the upside down was just going to be contained to Hawkins. My theory is that it's because Will came from a poor family, so probably had never traveled outside of Hawkins, and the walls are the confines of where he'd been to.
Huh.
So Will conceived the Upside Down. But I think the Upside Down is a part of this larger dimension.
This larger dimension X.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did wonder if it was like there's Hawkins and there's the wall, but there's shit outside of the wall
Which I imagine
that
is
we
his
just can't
lair.
see yet.
Yeah. Well, I imagine also that's where Holly is, and that's where. Oh no, they're in his mind. No.
No, I think Holly. Well, Holly's physically like hooked up.
Oh, in the thing in his mind. Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's just Max that's in his mind.
Who we didn't speak about. Great. I loved seeing her.
It's funny. I didn't like her as much as in this season.
Really, I thought it was
I
really
just want to see
interesting
more.
in whatever episode it was where she's given her backstory. I was like, man, you're such a good actress. Like, oh, you're so good. Do you have
I wasn't
predictions for
feeling
who's
it.
going to get killed? I think it's not going to be very many, if I'm being honest. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, I'd be shocked at this point if there was loads.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like I'd be surprised if they killed off Hop. I think that's an easy one to do.
Mm.
Um,
Do you know what's an interesting point about that? Because I never thought they would, because they've tried to before. Oh
yeah.
no, 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 no! As I'm speaking, I've thought of something. I was gonna say he, weirdly enough, you could kill him and he doesn't have a ton of attachments to people that cause repercussions. Like in my head, if you kill off Will, you've basically just tortured Joyce for 5 seasons of a show. Or like, if you kill off, well, now I feel slightly differently because of Nancy's parents, but like, if you kill off someone in the Wheelers, and then also kill off Jonathan and Steve, like you're just putting trauma onto a singular character. If you kill off Steve this season, and Dustin's already the way he is, like I think you get really, really depressed characters that I don't think the show is going to want to touch. But when you said Hop, I kind of thought that'd be fine. But then you have Joyce; she would fully have to deal with
Do
that.
you think? I wonder, but I wonder if she's been through enough trauma where I wonder if she'd managed to, and she did think he was dead as well at one point,
But
and
but
what? No, it wasn't good for her, but she did manage. It wasn't in the same way
because he was
that like
alive.
you're talking about Dust. She did manage. I not in the same way that like Dustin's young, and he would have had two of his like best friends die. That it's very different. And I
That's
think
why.
if Joyce, if we get to a point where it's like Will is about to die and he doesn't, and then Hop ends up dying, I feel like
Oh, sacrifice.
one, her
Okay.
being an older character, um, um, having dealt with like the Hop stuff and still managing to be generally okay. She was still working and things. And then you have um Will and Jonathan being okay. I think if she knows that her kids are okay and they almost weren't, that
Mm.
might be something for her to cling on to.
Yeah, it's just interesting when you view it as season one, her child was missing the entire time. Season two, her friend from childhood and lover gets killed. Season three, her new lover gets killed, kinda. Season four, she journeys all the way to Russia to save her lover, and then season five, you go, let's kill off that lover. I don't know. I know. In universe they've had more time together, but I think that's awfully mean to do that to a single character.
For sure. But they have to take big swings. Do you think 11 will die?
Uh, I was of the mindset. So I made a video. It was like 2 weeks ago now, and it's changed since I've seen this part of the season. I was of the mindset no. I think she's an easy kill though. Um, Sadly, because she actually doesn't have that many attachments to anybody bar Mike. I know there's something there with Will, but honestly, whenever they like hugged or something, I was like, oh, that's Noah and Millie hugging because we've seen nothing of them on screen for them to be like that. Like at the end of season four, when Mike turns up and she hugs Mike, and then she goes to Will. and they really, really hug. I'm like, guys, the show hasn't seen us and seen you two like this. Maybe curb it. Um,
That's the off-screen character building that you were looking for, Jack.
oh, yeah, but they're really awkward when with each other whenever they're in scenes together. Um, yeah, no, I think she has a high chance. I said in my videos, and now I think I'm wrong. I thought Mike. I don't think that'll happen now. Um,
Yeah.
and I thought Jonathan, because in the trailer, Nan, which by the way, I am not watching trailers for the rest of this
Oh, for
stuff
sure.
because
Because now you have context.
yeah, I have context, and there was too much. I actually think in the first trailer because I saw Nancy washing blood off her hands, and I was like, and a great performance by Natalia Dyer because I was like, well, that's somebody really close to her. Never once did I think it'd be side characters. So I thought it'd be either Jonathan or Steve, but my
How dare you call Karen Wheeler a
sorry,
side character?
sorry, side character Ted and main character Karen.
Thank
Oh
you.
my god, she has some of my favorite fucking scenes in the show. The scene where she's getting ready for Billy is unreal.
Yeah.
Or the scene where she meets Billy.
Mr. I didn't know Nancy had a sister. I'm
Like,
Nancy's mother. Oh, Mrs. Wheeler.
by the way, he gives an underrated performance throughout this show. I don't know how he's not a massive person.
Do you think? Oh, underrated because like he's just not been like picked up afterwards or
Yeah,
anything.
like
Yeah, I
Joseph Quinn
agree.
is. Look where Joseph Quinn is. Like,
Yeah,
um, I really like him. Um, but no, I don't. Well, obviously, it wasn't. The blood wasn't him. I don't. I honestly think 11 probably is the most
Do you think?
likely.
Do you think they'd bring Max back and then kill off Lucas?
No, they're safe.
You're safe.
Yeah,
You just know that for a fact.
yeah.
Okay, I'm looking
In
at so
some
you know.
capacity. No, 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 no. I mean, I don't actually know, but in some capacity they are safe. I just don't. They've writ themselves because of how we know the show is structured. It's not like other shows where you do turn it on and something. I think if they were to kill a character like that, they need to deal with the repercussions. Because in other shows where major characters have been killed off, that's informed where it's went, and that's
Mhm.
never been what's happened with this show. So I think it'll be a something will happen and that'll conclude it instead of something will happen and then it'll go. That'll inform where it goes.
So you're looking for it to be a character that has like less ties, or it's just a bit like wet this season, like just is not interested in.
It's mainly less ties. Like when I start to think about it logically, it's like I just don't see Steve getting killed off because of where they've taken Dustin's character.
Right.
It'd be
But
weird.
Jonathan is a possibility
I
still.
I don't. I genuinely don't know because I don't know where their whole fucking stories.
If they
I actually
if they
yes.
did do Jonathan, I think that's interesting for Will's character where he is right now, as well as Nancy.
Well, I do have theories on whether or not Will's going to be evil.
Yeah, it is. It is interesting, isn't it?
The
Because he
hands
did.
up, it's not down.
It's not down. I know, but like also the fact that he's tried to spy on Vecna before
hmm
and it was not successful. So, yep, possible.
Anyway, I'm very
I,
excited.
I have seen, and this could be nothing, but like someone breaking down the scene of like, do you know where Lucas like scores the basket and it's
hmm
cutting between him and the Dungeons and Dragons table? Have you seen all the numbers in that scene?
Oh, I heard about this. The 20 theory?
He has an 8 on his chest and there's 1 on the scoreboard and he's scoring like I guess the 1. And at the same time you've got Erica rolling, she rolls an 11 and it fails. But when she rolls the 20 she
Hmm.
wins, and that would be 11, 8, and then 1, but it would be Will channeling 1.
Oh, interesting.
So the three of them together would be the thing that would win.
Yeah, I've seen people be like, "Oh yeah, it's gonna be Avengers Endgame with the trio like walk up." I'm like, sorry, if we have eight there, no. Like I don't, as we've said, don't mind that episode. She's fine, whatever. You cannot have somebody be in the show for one season, for one episode, and then be like, "But she's here to save the day." That's not
We'll
satisfying.
see.
Sorry. We will see on at 1 a.m. on the next 2 days.
Is it? Yeah, it's a 1 a.m. Boxing Day,
Yeah.
and then does that make it for us like 1 a.m. New Year?
Yep. So
Wow.
I was talking to
Happy New
this
Year.
with a
Gonna watch
friend
Stranger Things.
the other day, and I realized that's why it's not in cinemas here.
Ah,
Yeah. Anywho, thanks so much for listening to this episode. I presume you don't have anything to end on with
oh
that.
yeah, I'm done with Stranger Things. I think
Done.
I'm done.
Um,
I'm not finishing the show.
I'm
Tragic.
Oh God. Owen just knows they're not gonna make Viola a thing, and he's had it. Yeah, thanks for listening. Next week will be. Next week's one of those like dead weeks. I presume. I have on the calendar Eternity, and it was just an accident. I don't know what.
Not looked into either of those yet, so
So stay tuned. There'll be something, or maybe Zootopia 2. Uh, yeah. And then we're like nearing the end of the year.
listen
Then we
to
got.
us, follow us.
Oh yeah. Yeah, forget my rambles. Yeah, if you like this, like and subscribe, follow us on,
YouTube,
and
Spotify,
and
Apple Podcasts,
and
TikTok,
and
Instagram. Big
and we'll
delay.
see you in the upside down. Bye.
What? Whoa!